Hi. Hello everyone, welcome back to the only YouTube channel on the internet. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing great because today we are going to talk about the First Law series by Joe Abercrombie. It's right there. Can you see them? You could see a little hatred right here. And then the other ones are like right here behind my little army guy. So they're all sitting back there. I was too lazy to grab them from my bookshelf, and so they're staying up there. I have wanted to talk about First Law more in depth for months and months and months. If you follow me on TikTok, I didn't shut up about it almost at all the entirety of last year. That was like my whole identity, was talking about Joe Abercrombie's book, specifically First Law. My favorite book of last year was The Wisdom of Crowds, which is book 9 in the First Law series. It could have been The Trouble with Peace, which is book 8. I was really tossing them up in the air. I wasn't sure which one was my favorite because I loved both of them so much. And I am so excited to just sit here and ramble and yap about First Law because it's been almost a year since I caught up, and I'm going through withdrawals. I need more Joe Abercrombie. He has another book coming out next year, and I need it right now. I need it right this second. For anyone who does not know, the First Law series is a grimdark fantasy series by Joe Abercrombie. There are currently 9 books in publication. There's the original First Law trilogy, then there are 3 standalone books, and then there is a second trilogy called The Age of Madness. All of it is fantastic, if you ask me. There is not a single miss in this entire series, and actually, I want to give you sort of a roll-in to my story with the First Law series, because I picked this up around this time last year. I guess it was more like in May last year that I picked this up, and I read The Blade itself. It was hyped into oblivion for me. I was so excited, and I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great. I thought it was good, and I decided, okay, I'll just keep going, and then I loved book 2, Before They Are Hanged, and then I adored book 3, The Last Argument of Kings. It skyrocketed First Law into the pantheon of my favorite series of all time. So if you are watching this and maybe you've never read First Law before, I highly encourage you to read both The Blade itself and Before They Are Hanged before you decide if you want to continue, because the first book is very slow and it's a lot of setup, it's a lot of character work, which in retrospect I have come to enjoy. In retrospect, it is a 5-star book for me, but when I first picked it up, I did not have that relationship with it. So let's dive straight into this, shall we? The first thing we always have to talk about when we talk about First Law, ask any fan, it's the characters. Joe Abercrombie is a master of character writing. That is absolutely the groundwork for this entire series. It's why it works, because he is amazing at writing morally gray characters, and not morally gray in the way of someone who's just like, oh, I murder people, but only people who deserve it. Oh, I steal money from people, but only people that deserve it. No. These people actually suck. Like, a lot of them are actually just straight up bad people, but he finds a way to make you root for them because they have redeeming qualities. Each and every one of these protagonists has some redeeming qualities about them that make you like them, despite the fact that sometimes they're terrible people. In the original First Law trilogy, 3 of the main points of view are a torturer, a guy who is so obsessed with himself he thinks he's just the hottest shit ever, and a barbarian who just has a history of slaughtering people. And they're all amazing. They're all so well written. I love each and every one of them, even if I don't necessarily think that they're good people. And that, to me, is the mark of some amazing character writing. And on top of that, each and every one of these voices is extremely distinct from the others. Every single time that a new chapter starts, you don't have to guess, oh, who is the point of view this time? You just know because of the way that their chapters are written. They all sound so different from each other. They all see the world so different from each other that every single chapter feels fresh. It feels like you're following a whole new story because these characters are extremely distinct. Seriously, this entire video could only be about the characters. I love them so much, but to actually further explore the characters, I have to discuss both plot and theme. Both of those are intrinsic with character, and they will come through while I'm talking about them, but character is the backbone of all of this, and it informs both the plot and the themes. First, let's talk about the plot. So for me, the plot of all of these books is extremely unpredictable, again, because of the characters. The characters themselves are very unpredictable because they walk this line of being good people and being bad people, and you can never really tell which way they're gonna fall, and it makes it hard to guess what their decisions are gonna be as they navigate these plots. plots. And Joe Abercrombie loves utilizing tropes that you see in classic epic high fantasy, which is usually more good versus bad, where you can kind of predict what's going to happen. He utilizes those and he subverts them. He turns them on their head and he uses the characters to make that work. I can't tell you how many times, just in the last Argument of Kings alone, I literally put the book down and just stared. I was like, holy crap. I can't believe he just did that. And that wouldn't work if he was just going for shock factor, or if he was just doing it to be different, or just doing it to subvert those tropes. But it works because he's established a world where the characters are absolutely capable of doing the things that he's having them do for the sake of this plot. And his plots will sometimes gut you because you just can't really see where they're gonna go before they reach that knife that just drives in up through your ribs, because Joe Abercrombie does not pull any punches. He lets everything happen to these characters, and all of the things they go through will affect them greatly. They aren't going to go through some major event and come out the other side unscathed. This is something I talked about with Sun Eater. A character that goes through something traumatic, it's going to change them forever. They're not going to be the same person they were beforehand, and it's going to change the trajectory of their character arc moving forward, and I love that. Oh man, dude, I'm just thinking back, I'm reminiscing on all the crazy moments in this series right now, and it's a masterpiece. This series is a masterpiece, and again, another one of the reasons that I'm going to dive into real quick is the themes. Joe Abercrombie is exploring some pretty dark stuff. He's exploring some heavy subject matters, and he never shies away from fully leaning into those themes. And those themes can be a lot about the duality of man and the darkness of a person who isn't fully capable of changing themselves, no matter how hard they try. And what this results in is plots that are oftentimes very secular. You start in one place, a character goes through a whole journey, and they kind of end up right where they started, but in a slightly different way. Like they have changed, but not in a way that's meaningful, and they're still kind of exactly where they were before they left off at the beginning of the series. And that, again, is the genius of the characters, because this works for all of these characters who have been walking that line the entire time. And at the end of each of these stories, I feel like I'm waiting and watching. I'm like, which way are they gonna go? Is this guy gonna have a good ending or a bad ending? And there's no way to know. And sometimes it's kind of both. Sometimes it's very bittersweet, and you kind of get the good ending and you kind of get the bad ending. There's really so many shades that Joe Abercrombie is exploring through these characters. When I say morally gray, I seriously mean morally gray, and not just like middle black, white. I mean black, white, shade, gray. Like, there is so much going on here. These people are very complex and very intricate, and they all feel fleshed out. They all feel original. They're all following these tropes and subverting them. Dude, his characters are amazing. And something I haven't mentioned in all of this is that Joe Abercrombie is extremely funny. He is hilarious as a writer. I think he's one of the best writers of dark humor out there. And no, I don't mean like edgy humor. I mean, sometimes he writes something that is just so horrifically dark about like a character's inner workings. These books genuinely made me cackle several times. There are moments that are just seared into my brain, not because they were epic or badass or anything, but because they were genuinely really funny. And another thing Joe Abercrombie is very good at writing is combat. I love his war sequences. He just gets you there on the ground, in the mud, with blood on your face, next to these characters as they're duking it out. He really gets intimate with what he's showing you and the way he's describing it. He has very choppy sentences when he gets into the bulk of the action, so it makes you really feel like you're just moving along and everything's moving at this breakneck pace, and he's describing it with these super descriptive adjectives that just make it all come to life. I love his action. And he has some really unique ways of doing battle sequences. This isn't necessarily a spoiler. There's a scene, several scenes throughout this entire series, where he'll jump from character to character to character all through a battle, and oftentimes they're not characters you've ever met before. They're just random schmucks, random soldiers in the army. He'll give them a slight backstory, show where they are in the action. Half the time they get killed off, and then you bounce to another character, and you're just leaping through all of these different perspectives, and he makes them all feel real, and it makes the battle feel more intimate because you understand that it's not just moving parts on a map. These are people on the ground that are experiencing all of these horrific things, and that is geniusly done because it's not even the main characters most of the time. It is just random Joe Schmoes, but you get attached to them in like a full paragraph, and then all of a sudden they get their head chopped off, and you're like, holy crap, That poor guy! And I love that. I love that technique he uses. First Law is genuinely just a masterpiece. I wouldn't go into this expecting some crazy world building or lore. He's not as interested in exploring that. It's there. It is there, but it's pretty basic for the most part. But that's not the point of First Law. The point is the characters. The characters are the world building. The characters are the lore. They inhabit this world and they are the focus of everything that's going on. And I didn't think I was going to enjoy that when I first picked up First Law. I am a very lore-oriented guy sometimes. What can I say? I love that kind of stuff. I think most fantasy fans love that kind of stuff. But Abercrombie takes it in this other direction and he makes it work. It is absolutely all about the cast. And the cast is fucking phenomenal. I don't know for sure if Joe Abercrombie has any plans to continue in the First Law series. I believe he said that he does, but he's also starting another series right now. I truly hope he continues going. I would love to see like 15 books in the First Law series, but I don't know for sure if that's gonna happen. I love it so much. I am addicted to that series. I can't wait to do a reread. I just love it so much, and I think that if you like fantasy, if you like dark fantasy, if you like well-written characters, and you haven't read First Law yet, if you like Game of Thrones, and you haven't read First Law yet, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? Read it right now. It's so good. Anyways, this is now the third video I've done talking about which series I think are amazing. Again, let me know what other series you would like to see me cover. I got some comments on my other ones and I am implementing those currently, but let me know. Just let me know. If you want me to talk and ramble about a series, I will gladly do it. I love doing this so much. Also, if you're watching this right now, I am currently on a 6-week trip. I can't respond to comments currently, but when I get back from my trip, I will be answering all of them. I don't have access to technology on that trip. This is pre-recorded, so if you comment something and I don't like it or reply or something, that is why. Usually I'm much better at that, so just telling you that right now. Anyways, folks, until next time, I hope you're happy and healthy. I hope you're doing well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!